Jim Campbell, live on stage at Hackney Empire to bring you some laurels, some mastermind. That's what football will do to you. Marcus Feller's in the building. He's going to be doing his thing as well. Jim Campbell's bringing the laurels. Pete Donaldson's going to keep all his clothes on for the majority of the evening, we hope. Plenty to get stuck into. There's going to be lots of fun between now and 10 o'clock. But first, let's get the news and sport with the media parts.
It's funny because when we started doing the shows, I almost felt like a bit of a fraud. In my brain, I was like, why are you sat down? Why aren't you speaking the whole time? And actually, after you sort of settle into that and your brain remembers that you're doing a different thing, it's nice just to have a little sit down on stage, listen to the other guys. You can watch the show as well as sort of being a part of it. But it's very different because, you know, the crowds know who we are and they know what we're about, and you are sort of you're playing to a home crowd. And what was really interesting to me as well was things would get laughs or they would get a cheer of recognition, and they're just things that we say amongst ourselves. They're just phrases that we use that aren't even supposed to be jokes, but they just you see what the audience have picked up on and what our listenership has picked up on, and you feel like they really know us well and that we know them well. That is one of the strange things about the relationship with a podcast and its audience. I think that it is very much part of, you are like a little family almost, like a little community, and that really came through in the shows.
Welcome to the stage, the Football Ramble!
Singing was, so I was the first out and milked the applause for all it's worth, and then I would shout "hit it," and then the song would begin, and the reaction was usually one of a bit of laughter and okay, what's going on here? I would sing my line and then the other boys would come out, they would come out staggered, not staggering, just the formation, if you like.
Who might be an outfield player in there? A dog on the pitch and a nice hot pie. El Diego's on Ellie's side.
Okay. Left or right?
We've already gone over that.
Left or right?
I was at the Olympic Games the other day.
You're going too far.
And a guy walked towards me with the shorts and all.
Yeah.
And a pole on his shoulder. I said, "You a pole vault?" And my name was Volta.
Alexandra. Second night of the tour. Should be fun. No one's here yet, but learned that actually people don't tend to come to shows 3 hours early, so we should be all right.
It's nice to be back up north. In the rain, in the howling wind. It is the rain. It's very chilly, but we'll have a lovely show. What are we going to eat, Sam?
I saw the stand-up Rob Beckett at King's Cross Station before we were heading up to, I think, Leeds and then Newcastle and then Manchester all in one weekend, and I sort of grabbed hold of him and I went, "Rob, I don't know how you do this every night. It's actually quite exhausting doing so much travelling." But it's mainly because I do drink to excess pretty much every show that we do. I really enjoyed it. I think it's like a holiday, isn't it? When you're doing it, you're concentrating on getting from one place to the other, but you can only really take in how much fun it was when you've actually finished, and I think, yeah, I got a lot of that too. It was fun.
Mickey Mouse fucking outfit. They always have been. Absolute fucking joke of a club. They are, they've got no pride. What are you talking about? Absolute joke of it. Well, tell me another team that's losing 7-0 at home after fucking 60 minutes.
I love it when it comes out. Skate.
What a Friday night you're having.
You know earlier.
There's one man in the back who's crying because he's Jose Perez's hair gel supplier. I miss you, man.
You know earlier, in the first half where someone cheered and they said there are any Southampton fans in. Can we hear more from that person?
Well, I think we were conscious of the fact that a theatre show is a different thing, and for us it's never really been enough to just replicate the podcast, sat behind desks on stage to people who've paid to come out for a night out. And although when we first started doing it, it was a new thing for us and we had to find our way through it, latterly we wanted to make it a bit more than that. So the show is kind of hopefully more entertaining, more funny, more of a comedy show really, and more of an interactive type night out, rather than just come along and see these guys chat football for an hour.
Marcus actually said that the first time he went to New York, he felt like he'd been there before because you're so familiar with it from movies, and I felt exactly the same.
I was a bit more nervous before the American ones because I wasn't sure what was going to go over and what wasn't, and I think after 5 or 10 minutes of the first show in Manhattan, it was relaxing after that because we realised there were fans out there that got it.
For an Arsenal fan, you'd be up for that, wouldn't you? Exciting, but you know, just I don't want to make it panto, and I understand that people shout out and so on, but it doesn't have to be that. But again, if you want to have a little stroll with that, that's one on you go.
Vardy's a no-brainer because everyone knows who he is, and it's good stuff.
Isn't he just?
Yeah.
Yeah. so that's perfect, Vardy stuff. In italics, I've got, I put it in italics because I wasn't sure about it. Michael Owen's new book. One or two people we spoke to in the US understandably thought that the American crowds would be more enthusiastic than the English crowds, because Americans tend to be a bit more enthusiastic and a bit more positive generally. Whereas actually I thought quite similar really. I think there was a lot of enthusiasm in England for the live shows as well. The American ones were great. I think there was that real sense of meeting these marvellous people who live far away from us, who listen to us, and you know, all the little sort of silly in-jokes and so on they got. There was one guy who drove past the venue, he was parking, and I was outside the front of the venue in Chicago, and he drove past, leaned out his window and just shouted, "This is how we do it," which is obviously a ramble trope, but I just thought to myself, that's made my evening, doesn't matter how the show goes, that's absolutely bloody excellent, that.
Oh, say can you see, ladies and gentlemen, it's Football Ramble Daily! Hello, New York. Hey. How you doing? The man said, "How are you doing?" Oh.
Lost me pen already.
I've already seen the Newcastle United shirt. Oh, it's going to be a rough 2 hours for you, my friend.
Yeah, the US leg of the tour for meeting people after the show, it was just really exciting because I think it's one of those kind of places where you're not sure how many people are going to turn up. You're not sure how many people are going to be into what you do, and really raucous shows, and afterwards people were just really just pleased to say hello. And I expected more expats, to be honest, but it was a nice 50-50 split, I think, between British people and also people who lived over there, and they're just kind of like really thankful for you being there, even though, like, you know, it was difficult to get over there and to do shows, and we had to, you know, spend a bit of money to get fees and stuff, but like fundamentally they were just so pleased that you were there.
Down on my knees for you.
If you would only love me like you used to do, yeah. We had a love you don't find every day.
Very keen to go to places we've not been to before and experience that and bring it to wherever we can, because it's not the same as the podcast. It is a stage show, and we've worked hard on making it that way, and we're very proud of that.
They don't know from who or from when. We've been the Football Ramble, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much.
what our level is. I think we know what we want to get out of shows, and I think the big brief for this set of shows was do more of a interactive kind of like stage show, I would say, rather than, it sounds really lofty, but you know, it's very easy to just get up on stage and just ride on you just being there, and it basically being a glorified meet and greet and just, you know, talk about football a little bit, and then, but I think we're a bit more, I'm going to say polished, guys. Not something you can usually level at us, but we were a bit more polished this time round, and you know, we had dancing, and you know, I was doing flips and forward rolls and, you know, slides down banisters and stuff. So yeah, it was a really fun set of shows.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Football Ramble!
I think we're at our best when we work properly as a team, and I think it's something we get a lot of sort of satisfaction from, and yeah, I think I look back at our shows we've done live, however many shows we've done by now, wherever we've done them, they've always been kind of really good times. It's not been a grind at all to spend time with each other. It can be tiring, and you have to be conscious of when people want their own space and stuff. But as a team, I think we work really well live. I think it's been good for us.
That's all I've got. That is literally, that's all I've got.
Has anyone got one?
Not coffee.
Come on.
Pete, what do you think of that?
You never get into it. I think they're disgusting.
What are you going to do?
Gonna beatbox.
Baston Boy's going to drop some lyrics, alright?
Alright, ready? Yeah. Beefy! Beefy!
Is that any good for you, Reese? Is that any good?
Bad boys, what you gonna do when they come?